Good morning. You're watching News for Hearing Impaired. I'm Preeti. With me is Manisha. First, the headlines. Armed forces deployed along LAC given full freedom to give befitting response to any Chinese action. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reviews Ladakh border situation in a meeting attended by Chief of Defence Staff and 3 service chiefs. International Day of Yoga celebrated across the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says yoga is a passport to health assurance, urges everyone to keep practicing yoga to create a healthier planet. Prime Minister also thanks people and leaders of Sri Lanka and Bhutan for embracing yoga. Union Home Minister Amit Shah leads Delhi's fight against COVID-19, holds a review meet with Union Health Minister, Delhi Lieutenant Governor and Chief Minister also was attending. Delhi reports 3,000 fresh cases. Total cases in the national capital inch close to 60,000 mark. India's recovery rate from COVID-19 stands at over 55%. More than 2.27 lakh people cured. The number of active cases nears 1.7 lakh. Death toll stands at 13,254. And WHO reports largest single-day increase of more than 1.83 lakh in COVID-19 cases, taking total global cases above 89 lakh. Global death toll touches 4.66 lakh. The United States remains the worst affected with over 22.7 lakh cases. Death toll in Brazil crossed 50,000. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh on Sunday reviewed the Ladakh border situation at a high-level meeting. The meeting was attended by Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and 3 service chiefs: Army Chief General M.M. Narvane, Navy Chief Admiral Karambir Singh, and Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria also were attending the meeting. The armed forces deployed along the 3,500 kilometers line of actual control with China have been given full freedom to give a befitting response to any Chinese action. During the meet, Raksha Mantri told the top military officers to maintain a strict vigil on Chinese activities around the land border, airspace and in strategic sea lanes. The armed forces were told to be fully ready to give a befitting reply to any Chinese misadventure. A tough approach is now being adopted to guard the border. The 6th International Day of Yoga was celebrated on Sunday across the world with great enthusiasm. Responding to various world leaders, international organizations and personalities who took part in the International Day of Yoga events across the world, Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged people to keep practicing yoga. In a series of tweets, Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "World over, people have marked Yoga Day with immense fervor. In line with this year's theme, people have marked Yoga Day at home and with their families. Let's keep practicing yoga and create a healthier planet." In another tweet, Prime Minister said that he was delighted to see Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa's passion towards yoga. He also thanked people of Sri Lanka for embracing yoga and called yoga as passport to health assurance. The Prime Minister thanked the people of Bhutan and also Bhutanese Prime Minister Lotse Tshering and also the people of Bhutan for their enthusiasm towards yoga. Prime Minister said that he fully agreed on the physical, mental and emotional benefits of yoga. Prime Minister Modi also thanked Sophie Trudeau, wife of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, for her support for yoga. Prime Minister in a tweet said, and I quote him, "Mrs. Trudeau's words will go a long way in popularizing yoga globally." And here we have the tweet on your screens. Let's get to other news. Home Minister Amit Shah on Sunday chaired a high-level meeting to discuss strategies to contain the spread of coronavirus in the national capital. The meeting was attended by Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi. During the meeting, a report of Dr. V.K. Paul Committee on Containment Strategy of COVID-19 in Delhi was presented. The committee set up by Home Minister suggested several measures related to containment strategy, including mapping of all containment zones in Delhi again and vigorous contact tracing of positive cases for quarantining. Now, as per the plan proposed by Dr. V.K. Paul, every district in Delhi will be linked to a major hospital which will provide adequate help. Also, a serological survey will be conducted across Delhi from June 27 till July 10th, involving sample testing of 20,000 people. The Union Minister has also directed the Delhi government to conduct assessment with respect to every dead individual as regards how many days before death the person was brought to the hospital and from where. A special focus has to be given about whether the person was in home isolation and whether the person was brought to hospital at the right time or not. Every death has to be reported to the Government of India. The Home Minister also said that COVID-19 positive cases should be first referred to COVID centers, and those have adequate facilities at home and do not suffer from other comorbidities can be allowed to stay in home isolation. The government shall also be informed of the number of people kept in home isolation. The Home Minister asked Delhi government to implement the recommendations of the committee. Coronavirus cases in Delhi neared the 60,000 mark on Sunday, with 3,000 more people testing positive. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will today leave for Moscow on a 3-day visit to attend Victory Parade on 24th of this month to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the victory in the Second World War. The parade is organized to honor the heroism and sacrifices made by Russians and other friendly people. A tri-service 75-member Indian military contingent has already reached Moscow to participate in the Victory Parade, along with Russian contingent and other invited contingents. The Indian participation at the Victory Day Parade will be a mark of tribute to the great sacrifice made by Russia and other nations in the Second World War, in which Indian soldiers also participated and made supreme sacrifice. The Victory Parade was originally scheduled on 9th of May but was postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic. Recovery rate from COVID-19 has reached 55.49% in the country, and a total of 2,27,755 people affected with COVID-19 have been cured so far. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country stands at 1,69,451. Meanwhile, the Indian Council of Medical Research, that is ICMR, has said that a total of 1,90,730 tests of COVID-19 samples were conducted by various labs in the country within 24 hours. In the wake of coronavirus pandemic, the Kamar Yatra this year has been cancelled. The development comes after Chief Ministers of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana discussed the matter via video conference. Annual Kamar Yatra sees a huge congregation of Shiv devotees in Haridwar. The national capital woke up to the sounds of raindrops and gusty winds as heavy rain accompanied by strong winds lashed parts of Delhi and adjoining areas of NCR this morning. The Met Department has predicted cloudy sky with light rain for today. As per the IMD, on Friday, conditions may become favorable for advancement of monsoon in Delhi and Haryana around June 25th. The Supreme Court will hear pleas seeking recall of its orders staying this year's historic Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra today. The Apex Court had earlier barred the Yatra from taking place in the interest of public health and safety of citizens. amid the coronavirus pandemic. The apex court had on June 18 said that in the interest of public health and safety of citizens, this year's Rath Yatra cannot be allowed, and Lord Jagannath won't forgive us if we allow it. Gajapati Dibya Singh Deb, who heads the management of the 12th century Jagannath temple, had requested Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik to approach Supreme Court with a request for partial modification of its order and to allow Rath Yatra only at Puri. The World Health Organization on Sunday reported the single largest day increase in coronavirus cases by its count at more than 183,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. The UN Health Agency said that Brazil led the way with 54,771 cases tallied, and the US next at 36,670. Experts said that rising cases and their counts can reflect multiple factors, including more widespread testing as well as broader infection. Overall, in the pandemic, WHO reported 89,27,195 cases, with 4,67,636 deaths worldwide, with a daily increase of 4,743. More than two-thirds of those new deaths were reported in the Americas. The US has the world's highest number of reported infections, that is over 22.79 lakh, and the highest death toll at 1,19,967, according to Johns Hopkins University. Health officials say that robust testing is vital for tracking outbreaks and keeping the virus in check. The number of confirmed virus cases is still growing rapidly, not only in the US, but also in Brazil, South Africa, and other countries, especially in Latin America. Supporters of Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro took the streets of Sao Paulo on Sunday to call for an end to COVID-19 restrictions and the resumption of economic activities, even as Brazil passed 50,000 COVID-19 deaths. Demonstrators draped in Brazilian flags gathered in one of Sao Paulo's main avenue to show their support of Bolsonaro, who has shunned social distancing during the pandemic and called it a job-killing measure more dangerous than the virus itself. Brazil, world's #2 coronavirus hotspot after the United States, officially passed 50,000 coronavirus deaths on Sunday. The country now has a total of 1,85,038 deaths. Rather, that was confirmed cases. Let's talk of Spain now. As the country's open lockdowns, Spain also reopened its borders to most European Union and Schengen visitors on Sunday for a much-needed tourism boost as the country lifted the state of emergency declared on March 14th over coronavirus. At Madrid airport, passengers were spotted returning to Spain or back to their countries after months under lockdown. Spain's health minister said that there will be 3 primary controls for tourists: a passenger location card with basic data of their trip schedule and health data from the person, a temperature check, and a visual control to ensure that the traveler is healthy. US is the worst affected country from coronavirus. Presently, the country has registered more than 22.78 lakh cases of infection, with fatalities crossing 11.99 lakh. US President Donald Trump said during a rally that more testing had led to identifying of more cases.
When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
Germany has seen the largest local COVID-19 outbreak since the lifting of the lockdown in the country. Authorities in Germany's Göttingen have called on the police to enforce lockdown measures following a rise in local COVID-19 infections, which has caused the country's virus reproduction rate to spike. Several Göttingen city police officers were injured yesterday after a clash broke out with residents in the German city over quarantine measures. Tense situations in mass quarantine situations, along with rising summer temperatures, have seen tempers spike, with police in Göttingen facing sometimes violent opposition to COVID-19 measures. Germany started loosening its COVID-19 restrictions in late April and has largely kept infection rates low, though local outbreaks linked to meat vendors, church services and a restaurant, among others, have caused some concern. Germany currently has confirmed cases of COVID-19 surging past 1.9 lakh and deaths over 8,000. Long queues formed in parts of Beijing over the weekend as more people were tested for COVID-19, which has seen a resurgence in the capital. China witnessed 26 new confirmed COVID-19 cases for June 20th, down from 27 a day earlier. Of the new infections, 22 were in Beijing. Authorities said that Beijing has expanded COVID-19 testing facilities. The city of Beijing, of more than 20 million people, reported its first case in the latest wave on June 11th. The resurgence has been linked to a wholesale food center in southwest of Beijing. So far, 227 people in the city have been infected. COVID-19 pandemic, which has virtually grounded global air traffic since March, has pushed several airlines struggling over the edge. Many global giants have seen record losses and have become dependent on the government bailouts to keep going. The pandemic has crippled air travel, leading to an unprecedented number of flight cancellations globally as nations across the world began enforcing strict lockdown measures to curb the virus. Flights have been limited and strict hygiene measures have been implemented to regain confidence in the industry at a time when many countries are lifting tight restrictions on mobility. U.S. airlines cancelled hundreds of thousands of flights, including 80% or more of scheduled flights into June, as U.S. passenger traffic fell by 95% between March and May. The situation of the industry seems to go downhill at a swift pace. Amid lingering fear of pandemic COVID-19 across the world, Aymara community in La Paz city of Bolivia embraced Aymara New Year on Sunday with the first rays of the sun. People wearing face masks made offerings to Father Sun and Mother Earth. During the celebrations, in cold temperature, followers raised their hands, urging the sun to destroy COVID-19. The country has so far registered more than 23,510 cases of infections, with the death toll around 740. Black Lives Matter protesters marched through central London on Sunday as demonstrations continue nearly a month after the death of George Floyd. Protesters carried placards and chanted "No justice, no peace" and "Black Lives Matter" as they marched through the capital, passing on their route the statue of Winston Churchill in Parliament Square, which had previously been covered up by authorities for the fear of vandalism. Rolling global protests in the recent weeks reflect rising anger over police treatment of ethnic minorities, sparked by May 25th killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, after a police officer detaining him knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes as fellow officers stood by. Up next, some sports news now. No win for Liverpool on the longest day of the year, and an even longer wait maybe to clinch the title. When you've been waiting 30 years and then had the coronation delayed by 3 months because of pandemic, patience is expected. Everton and Liverpool played out a 0-each draw in the Premier League on Sunday. The Reds had plenty of early possession, but the only real half chances in that period were a Takumi Minamino effect. Rather, that was effort off the target and a low cross across the face of Alisson's goal, which Dominic Calvert-Lewin could not resist. Roberto Firmino skewed a shot wide before the break, and Sadio Mane passed up a chance to shoot as the title winners in waiting had the better of the game without finding the breakthrough. Later on, it was Everton who went close on a number of occasions, but in truth, the game lacked a cutting edge and even an intensity that would normally be a hallmark of the fixture. And back home, a sophisticated COVID-19 testing machine has been installed by ICMR at Rajendra Memorial Research Institute of Medical Sciences in Patna for carrying out faster testing of the samples. The machine, enabled with robotics, minimizes the chance of contamination as well as the risk of infection to healthcare workers, since it can be operated remotely with limited human intervention. The Cobas 6,800 machine, capable of conducting up to 1,500 tests per day, would help ramp up testing facility in Patna. Now, this is the first facility of its kind in Bihar and will help in capacity building of COVID-19 diagnostic laboratory in the institute. A quick recap of the top stories once again. Armed forces deployed along LAC given full freedom to give befitting response to any Chinese action. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reviews Ladakh border situation in a meeting attended by Chief of Defence Staff and 3 service chiefs. International Day of Yoga celebrated across the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says yoga is a passport to health assurance. Urges everyone to keep practicing yoga to create a healthier planet. Prime Minister also thanks people and leaders of Sri Lanka and Bhutan for embracing yoga. Union Home Minister Amit Shah leads Delhi's fight against COVID-19. Holds a review meet with Union Health Minister, Delhi Lieutenant Governor and Chief Minister. Delhi reports 3,000 fresh cases. Total cases in the national capital inch close to 60,000 mark. From COVID-19 stands are told. Nears 1.7 lakh. Death toll stands at the number of 13,254. And WHO reports largest single-day increase of more than 1.83 lakh in the COVID-19 cases, taking the total global cases above 89 lakh. Global death toll touches 4.66 lakh. The United States remains the worst affected country with over 22.7 lakh cases. Death toll in Brazil crosses 50,000. That's it in this edition of the news. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.